Hey guys, Luke here. I'm here to preview round 5 of the 2015 NRL season. So let's get into Friday Night Football, which is the Bulldogs and the Rabbitohs, and it's also going to be Titans take on the Broncos. So two sort of big clashes. Obviously the Bulldogs versus Rabbitohs grand final replay, a lot bigger than the Titans versus Broncos, but Titans versus Broncos, it's another Queensland derby. So it's another big game. We're going to go with the Bulldogs and Rabbitohs first. Now I'm a Bulldog supporter, so it's going to be obviously biased. So don't get too upset or anything. The reason I'll just say, I won't say Bulldogs going to win, but I'll say why they can win. And I'll start off by saying I think they'll take a lot of confidence out of their comeback against the Tigers. I 100% think they have not been anywhere near their best lately. I think Josh Reynolds will be a big addition, although I really think Moses by being incredible. I think Hodgson's a weak link, to be honest, although Reynolds is also a weak link at times. I think Brett Morris coming back in the side. You've got to remember last week we had Brett Morris and Tim Lafai not playing in the back line, as well as Reynolds already not being there. So a few omissions there that were pretty crucial. I think Leach is finally sort of a bit comfortable finishing the games. Not that he never really seemed like out of depth or nothing, but just, he's played a few games there, and last week was his best game by far, I think. And also I think we saw the return of the guys like Cassiano and Pritchard being hit a little bit of form as well. So it's good to see them playing a few more minutes and, hitting form. Why the Rabbitohs can win, obviously we know how good they are. They did get beat by the Eels last week, and I think it was always coming. If they didn't lose last week, they probably would have lost this week. Like I would have been much more confident had they had won last week. Because there's the whole thing of them not losing the whole season, and this and that they're so good and they can't lose, and you knew they were gonna lose pretty quickly. It was always gonna happen. No team can go undefeated, and they didn't look very impressed against the Tigers, and they didn't look very impressed against the Eels either. Obviously they lost, and I think they might be a little bit more fired up, but hopefully the Bulldogs would just be able to go and outmuscle them. I think the previous years they've had Sam Burgess and they've been able to compete in the 4-pack. I don't think they'll be able to compete this year, and that's why I think Bulldogs will win. I think Bulldogs also got the better back line. The only difference is I think Rabbitohs got a much better spine. So that's the way Rabbitohs can win it, through the spine. Bulldogs can win it through everywhere else. But if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to say Bulldogs 1-12. Titans and Broncos. This is a little bit of a weird one. Titans once again, they still haven't looked that good. But I suppose you can't expect too much from them. I'd never expected them to be a great side. I thought they'd be pushing it, not even pushing it to beat the wooden spoon, to be honest with you. But a lot of these guys have a point to prove with the cocaine thing and that, particularly all their forwards and that. And I think James Roberts has been a standout for them. Kane Elgie, or LG, I'm not sure the pronunciation, but came in. He was alright. I think him and Caesar should form a pretty okay partnership. And I think the best thing for them is Falloon suspended once again, so it gives Mosley and Strama a chance to shine, because I really don't rate Falloon in real life, though on Rugby League Manager he's incredible for me. Josh Hoffman, pretty solid at the back. He's got a point to prove against Broncos. I've said point to prove a lot this episode. Not this episode, but this video. But I think he'll have a pretty solid game. The Broncos, I think once again, they keep coming up against, the wins that they've had have been against very poor sides. Now, you say what you want about Warriors. On paper they're a great side, but the way they're playing is absolutely shithouse. And the same goes for Cowboys, where they beat them convincingly. But the Warriors game was not convincing at all. They would, Broncos, had they come up against a half decent side, had they come up against Titans last week, they would have got flogged. It's just the fact that Warriors was so shit, so bad, and they even they only just won because of some shitty calls by the ref. Because I really don't think two of the tries were tries. I think the one at the end maybe. Not that really made a difference, because they would have won anyways for the last one. But there was one in particular, I think, just before halftime, which was no way in hell a try. He did not get that ball down. I don't understand the referees, but just shows that Broncos got fairly lucky with the refs, and they got fairly lucky that Warriors were not even reserve grade standard. And for that reason, I'm just going to pick the Titans 1-12. No real confidence in it, but I was think Broncos have been very lucky. They might even get lucky again. Who knows? Or maybe they'll just prove that they're good. I don't know. Moving on to Super Saturday, we got Sea Eagles taking on the Raiders. We have Newcastle Knights taking on the Dragons, and we got that's it. Just 2 games Super Saturday. So we'll start off with Sea Eagles and Raiders. Now, so this is a little bit of a strange one. Now, can really feel an upset coming along here. Now I know Seagulls got beat last week. I just feel like there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of turmoil in the club. Maybe not turmoil, but they're severely out of form. Things aren't working for them. Lots of injuries. Like, I don't know. It's just nothing is going right for Seagulls. They lost both their halves for next year, and like both the halves seem to be gone missing this year. I think Foran's been some of the worst form we've seen him play ever in his career. And Cherry Evans, we know he's a bit hot and cold at times. I'm not sure what sort of Cherry Evans will turn up. It really depends. If Seagulls come out and play to the potential that we know they can, with their spine at least, we know they can put a score on Raiders. But at the same time, Raiders have been, they've been pretty good this year. Been a lot more effort and been grinding out some games or whatever. Although they were smacked by Roosters. Roosters is so impressive. It's hard to take a game against Roosters seriously because Roosters have been playing so well. So getting flopped by them, there's no shame in that. And I think probably Seagulls would have got flogged by them as well. I think Jack White, and it's been good for them. I'm not really sure what to go with Cornish getting dropped. I didn't watch the game last week for the Raiders, but I mean, I don't know if he's been that bad. So Sam Williams comes in. We know Sam Williams can do the job, but he hasn't done the job for a while. So interesting to see how he goes. Hodgson needs to step up a little bit. Soliola, he's been another good one for them. I think Raiders might win this one. I'm gonna say 1-12 because I don't think they'll have enough firepower to sort of blow them away. But I think that it might be a similar game to the Dragons where Raiders will just out enthuse them, have too much energy, and But I can also see Seagulls winning. It's a home game for them. So moving on to the Knights and the Dragons. So Knights been in excellent form. They are undefeated this year, in fact. So the top of the table by themselves as Rabbitohs are lost. We already talked about them. In terms of this game, I think Knights win pretty comfortably. In saying that though, I should say, I don't really buy the Knights as serious contenders or anything yet. I mean, they've had a good start, but they haven't really played any decent side. And I include Panthers last week. I'll get to Panthers later on, but I just don't think Knights have played any great contenders, and I don't think Dragons are going to be that side that can challenge them either. So I'm expecting them to be 5 from 5 by the end of this week. You know what, I'm going to say pretty convincing. Dragons did win last week against Manly, but Manly was so bad, and I think Knights will be able to just belt them. And I think Tarek Sins would be a big in for them. Like, he should bring a lot to the side. I'm going to say 13 plus for the Knights. I think the back line will just destroy like the Dylan Farrells and even the Bully and that. So moving on to Sunday football. I keep wanting to say Sunday afternoon, but we got the Roosters taking on the Sharks. We got the Eels. Oh wait, sorry. No, we just got one Sunday game, do we? I have no idea what's going on with the days. So we'll just get away from the days. We got the Roosters taking on the Sharks, so we'll go into that game. So Roosters, like I said earlier, very, very impressive. They've just been destroying teams this year. There's nothing you can really say. They've been destroying teams. And I have to say, Dylan Napa. Now, I'm a bit of a hater on him, but, and this also goes for Cordner. I don't really like him, especially like Napa. I hate his attacking style, but I think he's cleaned himself up a little bit this year. I'm seeing less cheap shots, so that's good to see. And making me, when you put hits like the one on Seguiara, making me like him a lot more. Not these out there to please me or anything, but like, I don't know, I just thought it was worth mentioning. Obviously, Maloney and Pearce killing it. Tuvasha Sheck has surprised me probably the most out of maybe all the NRL players this year. I really didn't think he was going to step into the fullback role and be as good as what he has. I thought last year, when he played fullback, he was okay, but nothing special. But yeah, this year he's been sensational. Sharks, they've had a few changes. Jack Bird moves into the 5'8" position, made his debut from all reports, was pretty impressive. Michael Gordon and Valentine Holmes doing a swap. Now, I really don't know what the solution is for the Sharks. Obviously, the 5'8" role is a big problem for them. I don't think Jack Bird fixed that problem. I also think the biggest problem in their side is the fact Jeff Robson's the halfback. And this isn't it is a knock on Jeff Robson, but he's the only thing they've got. They can't really change now. They haven't got anyone better, but them losing, like, the rest of the side is pretty strong. Back line, like, everything forward, but the halves, it just gets killed there. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't think the 5'8" position is the problem necessarily. I think maybe the halfback position is. He's a solid player, but I think he was only a solid player because he had like a Carney next to him. When he hasn't got the Carney there, he's just not up to scratch. And I think this might be the end of the road for Robson this year. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Sorry about the background noise. Can't help that if you can even hear it. Anyways, for Feeder, the Feeder brothers on the bench. Now, I don't think Andrew's been that good this year. At the same time, Matt fucking Pryor in the starting side. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I don't even know how he's in first grade. He's got a contract. No offense, Matt Pryor. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't see anything in him, to be honest with you. And for Feeder, even at his worst, I would still take over Pryor. And saying that, both for Feeders as an impact player, that could just be a masterstroke by the coach. I kind of hope not, because I don't really like the coach. So I'm going to say Roosters 13+. Eels and the Tigers. Alright, let's just talk about the Eels. They were very impressive against Rabbitohs. Tigers, also pretty impressive against the Bulldogs. Should be a pretty good matchup. Both got fairly young sides. And Eels got some more injuries. So, the 4-pack's still virtually the same. I'm not really sure what's to go with Hotmire. Like, he's on big money. When I say that, I mean he's obviously a solid player, but I don't think he's living up to the price tag. I don't think he ever will, to be honest. But it just seems a little bit off. But I suppose they're doing the job. They're winning some games. Sandow and Norman, very hot and cold combination. I don't think Will Hopperwhite's done a great job at fullback, to be honest with you. But I think that's an opinion shared by a lot of people. Corey Norman and Sandow, they hold the key to this side. If both of them guys fight, particularly Sandow, if they have a good game, which Sandow either plays like the best halfback you've ever seen or the worst player you've ever seen. So it really depends on who shows up this game. If Sandow if this good Sandow shows up, well then Eels will shit this in so easily, like it won't even be funny. If the bad Sandow turns up and Norman same goes for him, then Eels will get thumped. Because I think Tigers are a good enough side that if they come up against some average side or a team playing average, for example, Bulldogs last week were playing terrible, they'll put some points in you. They did get pretty lucky with some kicks, but you have to create your own luck sometimes. And they were off some breaks, or the kicks were intended. It wasn't like they got deflections or anything. So I'll give them that. But I'm gonna say the Eels 13+. I think they'll just be too strong, and I think Tigers put too big efforts in against Rabbitohs Bulldogs, and I think this week they'll just run out of steam. Moving on to Storm and the Warriors. So it's a home game for the Storm, therefore I'm going to pick the Storm. I do think they've been in pretty good form. Been unlucky to lose to the Cowboys. At the same time, they blew it. They really shouldn't have lost that one. If it wasn't for Thurston putting the team on his back. But at the same time, you got to be able to stop that sort of stuff when it happens. And usually Storm are pretty good with that, closing out games. They couldn't do it. I do think Storm are a lot better side than what I thought before the start of the season. And I'd say a lot of people in the same boat as me thought Storm were going to be terrible this year. I think Blake Green's been a great addition to the side. A lot better than, I thought he'd be a good signing for them, but I think he's been even bigger signing than what I originally thought. Backline, it's a pretty solid backline, pretty solid forward pack. Even the bench is pretty good. So I'm really expecting a great win by the Storm, and I think Warriors have just been absolute shithouse this season. It's just typical Warrior. I think Johnson's so off his game. I don't know if he's playing with an injury. I know he's playing with a hand injury, but he hasn't been doing that the whole season. He has these little spurts where, he set up that try before, where he just put on the pace and went around the player. But for the most part, just not on. And I think when Townsend's the dominant half, it's telling you something's wrong. Also, I thought Lola here had a pretty shit game last week, so they'll be really hoping Tompkins comes back ASAP. Moving on to the last game, which is the Panthers taking on the Cowboys. Now, Panthers, last week, I think you can sort of just scratch that a little bit because they're missing some very important players. Now, obviously, Soward's going to be out for a fair while, so, he's not really there. But Isaac John, the replacement for Soward, he got hurt. So they had Bryce Cartwright playing 5'8", who I thought was pretty crap, to be honest with you. I don't expect him to do all the ball playing, whatever, but didn't really do much at all. And then they had Coruscant playing in hooker. Now, Coruscant's a solid player, and, he won a premiership and all, but when you put him into the Panthers side, you just can't compare to Seguero. It's so hard. Seguero is Panthers really. I kept thinking that Soward is the most important player, but I'm tending to think Seguero might be the most important player. Just everything he does, you can never sort of drop off because Seguero just take a run from to me half, or he'll come out with a big flying tackle. He's just got so much energy, and it's so valuable for Panthers. But yeah, Coruscant is a solid player, and he's 18th man. The Cowboys, on the other hand, they were shit for about 70 minutes, and then Thurston just went, fuck this, and just grabbed them, put them on his shoulders, or on his back, and just carried them over the line. Setting up tries, kicking conversions from the sideline, kicking field goals to get the win. Just a great performance by Thurston. The rest of the side, they're okay at times, I suppose. I really don't like Tautau Moga as a centre. I'm not sure if he could maybe play a wing or something, but yeah, I don't know if it's just because he was touted as like the next Falau or whatever, that I expect so much from him and he's just not good. But I don't know, their backline leaks in points, and apart from maybe Linnett, because he's a pretty okay defender. I think Lachlan Coote he's getting adjusted there. Morgan had a few good touches, but at the same time, I really don't see Morgan as a long-term 5'8" for them. As much as people, they see him at fullback and they say, yeah, he's going to be a good fullback. He's playing well at fullback means he's going to be good at 5'8", and it just doesn't work that way. They've tried this combination before, it didn't work out. And saying that doesn't mean it won't work out, but I just don't think it will. I'm going to say Panthers, and I'll say 13 plus. I think the back line will just be too much, and maybe Seguiaro in the middle also too much. But yeah, that's the predictions for round 5 of the 2015 NRL season. Apologies for the background noise. I live on a highway, so can't really do much about it. But yeah, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you want to tweet me on Twitter, whatever, my handle is @MrLukeMyT. Got a Facebook page in the description below if you want to look at that. And leave in the comments what are your predictions on this week. And yeah, don't get too upset if I went against your side. That's where I'm going to leave the video. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.